Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tanya Live. Great to see you all. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I'm having a trouble with my Facebook tagging people. So I wasn't able to tag a lot of you. But feel free to share. And we'll get started with our Tehillim. Please put in the comments anyone specifically you would like us to say Tehillim for, and I will add some names for people who really need a refuah shalema. Chaim Shner Zaman Yehuda ben Yehinda Yocheved, Yaakov Moshe ben Necha, Miriam Reza Shoshana Bas Henachana, Avram ben Sarah Mindel. Anyone else? Let's see if anyone else has names that we should be saying Tehillim for. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, everyone that's joining now. Dorit. And it's great to see so many of you on. Rivka Bas Maya and Zev Ben Anya. Okay, definitely. Shayna Bas Balika. Okay, refuah shlema for all these people. Good morning, Becky in Israel. Yes, when we say, it's interesting, but when you say Tehillim and you attach it to Torah and Tzedakah, it has tremendous power and tremendous energy. Good morning, Bettina, as well. So everyone take out your tzedakah box. You should be having one in your kitchen for sure. Gedol tzedakah shemikarev says a geula. Get that right into the tzedakah box. And off we go, chapter 20. Lam ratzeach mizmor leDavid. Yancha Adonai biyom tzara. Yisagefcha Shem Elehei Yaakov. Yishlach Ezracha mikodesh umitzion yisadeka. Yiskar kol mechosecha, va'oloscha yidash nesela. Yiten lecha chavavecha v'chol atzascha yimale. Nrana b'shuasecha v'shem Eloheinu nidgol, yimalei Adonai kol mashalasecha. Ata yadati ki Hoshia Adonai mishicho, yaneu mishmekotra b'gvuras yesha yamina. Ele v'recha ve'ele v'asusim, anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir. Hema karu v'nafolu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisodad. Adonai Hoshia HaMelech Hanenu V'yom Karenu Liora Bat Simcha Refuah Shalema. Good morning, Arlene and Esther. Good morning, Tamara in South Africa. Good morning, Brenda. Good morning, Clara. Oh, Corinne says we're much better than last week. Yes, I am home this week because we have winter break. So I am teaching Tanya in my beautiful kitchen that's full of challah baking and cooking for people and cooking for my family. So what more holier place in the world is there than our home? A mikdash ma'at. Our homes is where it's at. Not the shul, but the home. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Clara. So we'll get started. Last week I noticed afterwards that a lot of the comments were saying that the class was unclear and it was choppy. So we're going to do a little review. Good morning, Arlene. Good morning, Elaine. We're going to do a little review of last week, chapter 35, before we get on to chapter 36. Clara's enjoying Rabbi Plotkin's book. Yes! 7 Conversations with Jerry. If you haven't bought the book, you better go on indigo.ca or on amazon.com if you're in US, or Judaica bookstores wherever you are around the world. Books in Israel are arriving shortly. They've already left the port. So you will get them soon. And they're available at our shul as well, chabadmarkham.org. I'm glad you're loving the book. I read it in 2 nights. Well, I was in the process with him while he wrote the book. But when it came out in a hardcover, oh my gosh, nothing like it. And you know what's really special about the book? I'm going to turn to the first part. Yeah, dedicated to Arzalmi. And the whole first chapter is all about Zalmi and how this book gave us so much comfort and so much knowledge and so much insight. It's like if you ever wanted to know where your soul comes from, if you want to know where your soul goes, if you want to know what is purpose, if you want to know, there are so many incredible topics. And Animation. How do you know there's a soul? Conversation 2. Identification and relation. Does the soul keep its personality in the afterlife? Conversation 3. Destination. Where does the soul go? Conversation 4 is elation. How positivity and resilience of the soul help it deal with suffering. So like if someone passes away, how your positivity helps it deal the suffering and the soul. Conversation 5, connection. How can we connect with the soul after death? How many of you, give me a thumbs up, how many of you have wondered, pondered, struggled with the thought of someone passed away, and is that it? Is that the end, or is there a way for me to be able to help or reconnect? And that's what chapters 5 and 6 deals with. Conversation 7 is the continuation. Coping with grief by making a living legacy. I know, like, oh my gosh, for us, after Zalmi was Nifter, this conversation 7 was the most important chapter in the book. Coping, it was amazing. Then my husband has the epilogue. But I love one the most on page 194. It's Jerry's questions. And if you go to that page, he basically has questions that you could sit down with friends and have group discussions. Like he gives you 7. Oh my God, it's brilliant. And it's not because he's my husband. It's really brilliant. It's like the best book out there. So it's the questions. He'll give you like 8 questions in each conversation to discuss with your family, your friends. You could do the book clubs. So conversation 1 is the soul. So that week, you and your friends, after reading this chapter, you would have conversations which you would discuss. What is the proof that a human soul exists? Is the soul a spiritual entity or some fine physical energy like electricity? Maybe there's no soul and it is strictly the brain that calls the shots. If we are scientific people, how can we believe in an invisible soul? I mean, food for thought, OMG. So, now that I gave my Oprah book plug, let's get right into Tanya. Good morning, Elaine. And David says it's amazing. Good. Corinne, Elaine, good. Excellent. Lena, good morning. Annette, good morning. Carol, good morning. Allison. Would like to obtain a copy? No problem. Just call the office and buy one. 905-886-0420, extension 227. And my secretary will be happy to take your order. You know, they say, operators are waiting for your call. Okay. Okay, Perek Lamed Hey. We spoke about a pasuk in Hebrew, which I'm going to say it to you, and I'd like you to either write it down or remember it, because I really want you to gain, like, Hebrew skills as well as Kabbalah skills, okay? Hamase hu ha'ikar. Does anybody know what that pasuk means? Hamase hu ha'ikar. If you know what that means, please fill it in the comments. Hamaise hu ha'ikar. Because that's going to be the lead off into our class today. And I want to see how many of you remember that. And if you recognize that pasuk. Hamaise, Dorit. Good morning, Dorit. The deed is what matters. Good, Clara. Deed is what's most important. But really, what's wrong with meditation? What's wrong with sitting in your home and meditating? I'm not even sure how to do it, but you meditate all morning about your soul, about God, about energy, about positivity, about helping someone. What's wrong? So Becky says something so important, that the action is the main part. And without action, philosophy, well-meaning thoughts, positivity is useless. You heard me. Action is what counts in this world. Because remember, we're living in the world of Asiya. We're in the lowest level world called the world of action. It's all about when you meditate. So when you meditate, Lauren says, thank you for sharing about the rabbi's book. His class has been so helpful. I know, Lauren, I agree. I listen to his classes as well. I love his classes. So if it's all about meditation, but it doesn't take you into action, your meditation was useless. So there's a place for meditation. And hey, we start off our morning with Moda'ani. How many of you say Moda'ani in the morning? Give me a thumbs up. That's meditation right there. We meditate. Jews meditate. The first thing we do before we grab our phone, we meditate on the pasuk. Moda'ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmasi, bechem lo rabba emunasecha. Thank you, Hashem, for returning my soul and for believing in me. And we meditate. We meditate on those words because that gives us your mission for the day. It gives you the oomph and it gives you the purpose. Why am I getting up? Not because, oh my God, it's another day. No, we get up because Rabba emunasecha. Hashem has emunah. Dorit, what does emunah mean? Hashem has belief that our day is going to mean something to somebody by waking up and doing something powerful. So we wake up in the morning, we say the Moda'ani, we meditate, but is it enough to meditate and stay in bed for another hour? Kvetching and upset that you have to get up? No. We meditate with the purpose. It's the impetus for us to get up and get on with our day. That's how a Jew starts the morning. A little meditation, then we get up, we wash our hands, and then we daven shachrit, of course. And there's more meditation in davening. But we don't sit a whole day and daven. You know, I think 2-3 weeks ago we spoke about that the Chassidim of old used to spend 4 or 5 hours a day of davening. But the later Rabbeim said, action. Daven in the morning, give your kavanah, focus, but then get up and help. Get up and do. Get up and work. Whatever it is. Whatever your job means to you. But it's the job. And you infusing your job with Yiddishkeit, with godliness, with holiness. So today I posed a saying on the welcome to the Facebook Live. And tell me if you like this one. I love it. The author is actually not anyone that I know. His name is Richard Bach or Richard Batch. And he says like this: how do you know if your mission in life is finished? If you're still alive, it isn't. I saw that and I absolutely love it. If you're alive, it means you still have maaseh to do. You still have la'asoto. You still have work that has to be accomplished. So if you wake up this morning, it's like, okay, now what is my mission? And we believe that our mission cannot be revealed without our nefesh habahamis. So today's focus is going to be very interesting. We know, for those of you who've been with me on this journey for about a year, we've been learning about the two souls. Put down in the comments if you know what the two souls are called. The first one is the nefesh elokis, and the second one is the nefesh habahamis. The nefesh elokis is the godly soul. But my friends, can we accomplish our mission with only a godly soul? Give me the answer in the comments. Can we accomplish our mission with only a godly soul? And the answer is absolutely not. Because the godly soul is the flame. The body, the animal soul, that's the candle. But if I want to make the flame alive, what do I have to do? I need the fuel. I need the match. And that match is called the mitzvahs. And that can only be done with your animal soul. So you need the animal soul. Yeah, I love candles. I have them all over my house. Every room has a few. This one, by the way, is pink rose from indigo. So if you want to bring godliness into the world, you want to bring Hashem's flame in the world, you need the body. You need the body. You cannot have a light without the candle. How do we get that light? By doing the mitzvah. By doing the action, the mitzvah. And so the nefesh elokis, as much as it wants to do a mitzvah, but if it doesn't do it with the body, it's useless. Now, a tzaddik can do mitzvahs because they've already incorporated and made their animal soul already into a godly soul. So they have two godly souls and they can do a mitzvah. But if you remember last week, we spoke about that God cherishes the struggle. When you struggle with the nefesh habahamis, determining and making those choices every day, will it be an animalistic day? Will it be a godly day? That struggle is what Hashem enjoys. It's what Hashem loves. It's what our Creator waits for. He waits for us to wake up in the morning and says, what's Clara going to do today with her nefesh habahamis? What's Dorit going to do today with her body? And then Dorit goes out and bakes a challah for her neighbor. She took basic flour and yeast and water, such materialistic entities, but we elevate them and we make them godly. You remember the story I told many months ago, and I'm going to repeat it, it just fits right in today's Tanya class. There is a shliach who lives today in Be'er Sheva. His name is Moshe Dichstein. If you remember that story, you can give me a thumbs up. But it's worth repeating because I love sharing this story. It just resonates with me so much. So Moshe Dichstein is a shliach in Be'er Sheva, but he grew up in Tel Aviv in a very low-class neighborhood. He knows the way low-class people, I shouldn't say the word low class, I should say those that are challenged, materially challenged, those who grew up without a healthy home, dysfunctional family perhaps, not emotional, strengthening family. And he knows the kind of people that grew up in that environment. And so when he went on Shlichus to Be'er Sheva, he immediately wanted to get involved, underprivileged, thank you very much. That's a much better word. And he immediately wanted to get involved with the prisoners in his city. And the prisoners in his city were people, again, that were underprivileged. People that were brought up with not good role models. People that were brought up without the right direction in life, without any spirituality. And so this shliach decided he's going to become a chaplain in the hospital. And unfortunately, you and I both know that there are a lot of Jews in the prisons in Israel. I think Goldie once said, you'll know that we're a real country when we have our own prisons. Ach and vei, how sad it is that our own Jewish brethren have to fall so low and struggle in prison. But Moshe Dichstein, the shliach, decided he was going to change direction for the prisoners, and he was going to bring Torah classes to the prisoners. And so he asked the chaplains, he asked the generals in charge of this prison, and they said, you know what? You can definitely come in and do once a week a class. And so he takes, like a good chassid, what do you think? What sefer do you think he takes? What book do you think he goes to teach? He takes a Chumash and a Tanya, walks in, and he sees that the guards are knocking on the doors and saying, Torah class, and each prisoner gets a knock on the door, and those who want to join are welcome. But he noticed that week after week, there's one door that they never knock. They never bang on that door to invite the prisoner. So he asks the guard there, by the way, Misham, who's in that door that you never invite? He goes, oh, in that cell. You don't want to go there. In that cell, there's a prisoner that is so dangerous that he is in solitary confinement. Every day he sits there alone, but 1 hour a day, we put all the prisoners into their cells and we give him 1 hour to get out to have fresh air. But we don't allow him to mingle with the other prisoners because he is absolutely dangerous. So Moshe goes, how dangerous? This is a jail after all. It's not a spa. I'll go, oh, no. This man is over 7 feet tall. He is huge. His muscles are as large as your thighs. And all of us are petrified of him. In fact, when we open his door, we run for our life. He has his own space. And then he gets back into his cell because none of us want to be near him. So Moshe says, is he a Jew? They said, he's a Jew. Well, if he's a Jew, I want to learn with him. So the guards were laughing. They said, Moshe, look at you. I mean, you're a chassid at the end of the day. You're a rabbi. You're not a bodybuilder. He goes, I know. But I grew up in the slums of Tel Aviv. I understand these people. I want to learn with him. They said, we'll check with the chief. And if he gives permission, we'll make arrangements. And a few weeks later, they come to tell him, Moshe, you got your wish. Today, when you come in to learn with the rest of the prisoners, we're going to give you an extra half hour with this cellmate. Okay. Moshe's excited but nervous because he knows what a monster he's about to meet. When he finishes with the rest of the prisoners, they go back in and then they allow this prisoner to go into a separate room with Moshe. Moshe sees the prisoner and setuten vei. You know what that means in Yiddish? He gets finster in the egen. You know what that means in Yiddish? He gets dark. He's petrified. But it's moch shalet el alev. He knows Hashem is with him, right? Moshe studies Tanya. He knows everything that we learned. And he goes in to meet. And he puts out his hand to wish Shalom Aleichem. And the prisoner grabs the arm almost like he was going to crack his fingers. Moshe almost flinched, but he kept himself, strong and composed. And he says, Shalom, Shem Shali Moshe. Ma Shem Shalcha? He goes, Shem Shali Adni. Adni. Okay, Adni. Do you know what it means to be Jewish? He goes, I'm a Jew, but that's it. Tells him in Hebrew. I don't know anything else about being Jewish. I went to school till grade 3, and after that I was in the street dealing with drugs and getting involved with the wrong company. He says, would you like to learn Torah? Mazeh Torah. He says, Torah is the gift God gave the Jewish people at Mount Sinai thousands of years ago, and it's your inheritance. He goes, I don't know anything about it, but if you want to teach it, I'm ready to learn. And so for the next half hour, Moshe and the prisoner studied. Now, outside the prison room, the guards were waiting, and they had said to Moshe, if at any moment you feel threatened, just give a shout. We'll walk in with our guns and we'll take care of you. Now, Moshe is sitting in this prisoner's room. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and there isn't a peeps. The guards are ready to stamp in because they believe he's probably dead. Nobody, not even the greatest psychologists who were called in to see the prisoner, were able to survive more than 5 minutes. How's Moshe, this young rabbi, doing it? So they knock on the door to see if he's alive. And he goes, wait. You hear Moshe screaming, wait. Give me 5 more minutes. And then Moshe does what every Chabad Shliach does. Do you know what that is, guys? Put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. He pulls out his tefillin and he says to him, Adni, would you like, thank you, exactly, would you like to put on tefillin? And again he says, Mazet tefillin. And he pulls out the 2 black boxes with the strings and he explains to him what these tefillin are. And he says, this is going to make you have an awareness of God with your thoughts and awareness of God in your heart. Let's put them on. Roll up your sleeve. So the prisoner pulls up his sleeve and Moshe notices that there's tattoos all over his arm. So according to Jewish law, you're not supposed to put on tefillin on top of any obstruction. Nothing should obstruct the tefillin and the person's arm. And here there's tattoos. So Moshe just flinched his eyes and just mindfully he says to God, if it's a sin, what I'm doing, I'll bear the brunt of this sin. Let me put on tefillin with the prisoner. And so he puts on tefillin and they say Shema and they do prayer. He unwraps and he leaves. He walks outside and the guards, they say, what in the world went on in that room? How did you survive a half hour? Nobody could do more than 5 minutes. I mean, people are petrified of this monster. He goes, you know what? I got through to his neshama. I taught him Torah. I shared with him a little bit about the Parsha. I gave him insights into Tanya, into insights in the soul. It spoke to him. It resonated. Can I come back next week? And they said, of course. So next week, like clockwork, Moshe Dichstein arrives to the prison. And of course, he meets with all the prisoners, gives them a shiur. And then it's time for him to meet with the monster prisoner, Adni. He goes into the room. And again, the guards are waiting outside because you never know. He goes into the room. And his newfound friend hugs him. Again, you can imagine a hug like that can probably take your breath away. And no pun intended. And then he starts to learn with him. 25 minutes later, they knock on the door. They say 5 minutes left. And Moshe again pulls out his tefillin. And the prisoner, Adni, pulls up his sleeve. But what Moshe sees blows him away. Blows him away. He sees the entire arm where there was a tattoo is now raw skin. Raw skin. Raw. And Moshe looks at the arm and goes, Mazeh, what happened? Did you get beaten? Did you get hurt? See, he says, last week, when you were putting on tefillin, when you were putting me on tefillin, I saw that you flinched when you saw the tattoos. And I had a feeling that tattoos are not allowed for Jewish people. And so all week, I rubbed salt on my skin to remove the tattoo. And this is what's left over. But promise me that when you put on this tefillin, you are going to put it on so connecting. I want to connect with my Creator. And slowly and carefully, Moshe put it on so sensitively because it was on the raw skin. He didn't want to hurt him. And that prisoner screams, tighter, tighter, please put it on tighter. And Moshe did. And at that moment, Moshe and the prisoner created a flame. That's how we connect flames. Just by doing a mitzvah. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.